Hey, what's up? I'm Ben Newton, and I am a collector. Some people say hoarder. I like collector. Sounds nicer. I collect bobbleheads. It sounds bad, but it really kind of started only 10 years ago. I have about 500 in my collection right now.
Ben Newton is an all-time sports fan, and as most collectors do, he loves showing off and talking all about his huge collection. Like every collector, the first step to starting a collection is having a passion behind it. Growing up in the suburbs of Chicago and having a family obsessed with the Chicago Cubs was where it all started for Ben.
Like our Christmas cards were at Wrigley Field. I've probably been to 200 Cubs games, got to go to the World Series, got to go to the National League Championship Series. It's just in our blood. So I just love everything sports, and that's kind of all I've ever loved. I've gotten jerseys for all my Christmas gifts or birthdays ever since I can remember. Even now, basically these are adult dolls that I collect right now, but I just think it's fun, and I think it's fun to have a collection in one spot. So.
And it was all about those family ties as the collection continued.
It was actually pretty special. My mom got this for me when I was in college, and I'm a huge Brett Favre fan. My mom has since passed away, and so it's kind of special to have this one still, and it reminds me of her because she got it for me for my birthday.
Collecting bobbleheads first, but also jerseys, sports memorabilia, and previously having over 200 foam fingers, Ben's collecting days started with one of his biggest life influences.
My dad is like a big-time sports collector, so he actually has every living Hall of Famer's autograph in baseball on a separate baseball on the sweet spot signed, which is pretty cool. So our basement is like a Chicago Cubs shrine. So I just grew up loving sports, loving just going to sports shows with my dad. We would wait outside Wrigley Field and get autographs from players. It's just kind of our thing that we did all the time. And so that grew into something that I just liked to do.
Once he started collecting himself, Ben learned the art and craft behind doing so on a tight and well-managed budget.
So I would get these Brewers bobbleheads. I'd look on eBay or whatever. I'd see that they were worth X amount, and so I would kind of flip them. I'd buy and sell them, and there's different variants. Different kinds are more rare than others, and so I kind of knew the market of bobbleheads for a little bit and used that to kind of stockpile a fund that I've then used to collect my collection. I didn't know this, but I just saw one of these on eBay, and so I followed it. I just watched it, and it sold for $425, and I had no idea. So I have one of those, which is pretty sweet. And what's cool is the lower number that you have, like if there's 500 of them, the lower the number, like 1, 2, 3, the more valuable they are. And I didn't know this when I bought it on eBay, but I opened it up and I looked at the bottom, and it's number 1 of 500, which is pretty sweet. So that's a valuable one. And then I have another one of these. It's actually number 3 of 500. So I have number 1 and number 3.
As for how he decides what bobbleheads to collect and what ones to trade, it's safe to say Ben has found collections within his collections. He even says he has a bobblehead of himself.
Well, I went to the University of Iowa, and so I love like the Big Ten. I love Big Ten mascots, so I'll show you guys my Big Ten collection. Collect LeBron James. I collect a lot of Cubs bobbleheads. I collect Packers bobbleheads, and I collect Big Ten mascots. Those are kind of my 4 categories.
Ben says that sometimes the hardest part in collecting things is finding the place to store and display them. Ben's wife, Katie, on the other hand, finds herself with almost 1,000 eyes staring right at her every time she goes into her own basement.
How do you really feel about Ben's collection down here?
The collection.
She married me before the hobby got out of hand, so that was good. When we were married, I think I had about 20, and then in Milwaukee, things started to blow up, which is fun. Renovated our basement. It was totally just a cement basement. So I think she might have forgotten how many I had.
I think it's cool that he's like invested into collecting so specifically. We've definitely had some conflict over the bobbleheads, and the storage is the main thing because he keeps the boxes and they go in tubs, and we have 1 car in our 2-car garage currently, but we're chipping away at the bobbleheads that are extra.
The Newtons also have a third member of their family in their 2-year-old daughter, Kenley, who they adopted a couple years back.
This was technically supposed to be room for our daughter to play a little bit, and that's not happening a ton down here because of the collection.
I don't know, like if she gets mad one day and just wants to really make us mad, just a ball in any direction could really do some damage.
As for passing on the collection to Kenley, Ben has other hopes for the sports fan she will become.
I hope she collects stamps. Those are a lot easier to store. No, I I don't anticipate her collecting bobbleheads. It is fun though because she'll come down and I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that if you have a doll collection like this as a grown man, your daughter reserves the right to break them if she wants. And so she picks them up, but I'll say, hey, be gentle, be sweet. And so she'll like individually kiss them on the head, which is fun, and then place them back. I have some 3-foot bobbleheads that are just about her height, which is kind of fun for her to look them in the eye. So yeah, she gets to experience it, but I hope she doesn't follow my footsteps.
Ben and Katie are currently in the process of adopting their second child, and Ben is working on selling some of his bobbleheads that don't fit into his smaller collections to help fund those efforts. He also jokes that one of his biggest dreams is to have his house experience a mini earthquake in which all of his bobbleheads will bobble all at the same time.